Hello everyone. It's James again. And before I start today's video, I just want to quickly say, all work in this video contains 100% original content of and by myself James Smith, otherwise known as Bgood 4000, and was uniquely created with NAWMAL software, by myself James Smith. As I purchased commercial rights from NAWMAL to produce my unique and original video with this software. Commentary is uniquely my own thoughts, feelings, and expressions. Now that I have that out of the way, I do hope your day is going better than fantastic and your journey to self-betterment is going even better. Today, I wanted to talk about something very important. And it's a big how and why question. Or a why and how question. Because the truth of the matter is, narcissists. Narcissists don't want you to dig deep into how things work. Especially when it involves them. Because then that's when you can start to do something about the situation that does involve them. Individually and collectively as a society. You see, over the years there have been many changes. Many changes it appears. It appears that narcissists as a whole are likely to be on the same page, steering society and the relationships people have by and large into an area where narcissists greatly benefit, and those that have true intentions on having a normal decent relationship, they end up on the losing end of the stick. You see, I've watched some clips of this show, Catfish, where these people online pose to be someone else. Not just for money but for other very twisted and different reasons. And here's the main takeaway. Some of these people have been doing this act for years with many different people. And some people individually have been talking to such a fake person for more than a year straight. Now, please don't get hung up on just the catfish part of things. Because there's more to what I'm going to say here. Please follow along. Because there are many layers going on here. But one of the big takeaways, as there were many takeaways, but one of them was, narcissists are getting better at playing the long con game on their targets. Now I'm going to digress a moment from the catfish, but I will be circling back around to it again in this conversation. You see, there was a time, no matter a person's looks or way of being, let's say, there usually was someone out there that was their match. No matter if they were stunningly attractive to not attractive at all. There was usually someone for most people out there to pair up with. They could settle down, get married and have a family. One of the main places people would commonly meet at for the start of such a relationship was at work. Many decades ago, meeting someone at your job place to settle down and get married with was not only extremely common and normal, but expected. If you hadn't met someone, your family members would ask you, "Isn't there someone at your work that you like or that likes you?" And again, with the variety of people, there was usually someone for nearly everyone's tastes and attractions. And there was likely encouragement to a degree. Not to look at the past with rose-colored glasses. But people liked to play matchmaker. If you, let's say as an example, there was an awkward young lady that liked an awkward young guy. It's a good possibility that each other's friends would try to create an environment where these two people could have a reason to talk with each other. So they could get past that break the ice stages and start a dating and romantic relationship. Now keep in mind, this was a time where divorce wasn't as socially acceptable, and not something the average person thought about when entering into a relationship with someone. Yes, people cheated at work, I'm sure then. But cheating had more dire consequences than it has today. Not just societal, but the possibility of creating a family that wasn't planned. And again, these things did happen. But I'm pretty sure these consequences kept some people from engaging in such behavior. And it was a different time. Relationships were celebrated in television shows and movies as a good thing to aspire to have. So people in that time frame likely bought into what they were watching on television and the movies, like people are likely buying into the narrative that is being shown on television and the movies today. And it's not to look back at things with rose-colored glasses, but to understand the truth. Relationships had more value back then. Not for everyone, of course, but for the masses in general. Then as the decades rolled on, a different message was being shared. That divorce was somehow a normal thing. Even if the person you married had done little to nothing wrong. Hey, you changed your mind. You are entitled to drop this person that you made a lifelong promise to, that has treated you well. So you can go out and find yourself. And you can get this person that loved you to now fund this new lifestyle. Even though they are dumped and no longer in a relationship together. And little by little this started to catch mainstream attention as being normal. And with any new thing like this that happens, narcissists look to see where they can gain money and control out of such a bad situation. And thus you have the family court and law system. There have been documentaries after documentaries, showing up close and personal how a great many involved in such a system are corrupt and are just using other people's misery as a way to get paid and have control over others' lives. And I want to say, there are some out there trying to make a difference by asking for a reform of the system that is hurting so many. Which again is another point we will be circling back around to. So you once had people meeting in places like their job. You had marriage as something that was celebrated in society. Then little by little it was deemed okay to upend someone else's life and bait and switch someone and then make this person that was bait and switched pay for this other person's life. Now ask yourself, does this sound like something a bunch of people with normal care and love in their heart would come up with? Or do you think it's something a bunch of narcissists would come up with? Hey, I'm just a little cartoon man here asking questions. But though these divorces started to pop up and gain steam, people were still seemingly meeting at work for long-term relationships. But then something else started to happen. Lawsuits. Lawsuits from workers to companies stating this person or that person did this or that wrong. Some of these people were justified in such suits. But what appears to have happened? Narcissists noticed this as a way to get narcissistic supply and free money by making the waters murky. So you could hardly tell who was bringing such suits forward in a truthful manner, and who was out there to get a free payday. So much so dating at work became a dangerous minefield, metaphorically speaking. Some people entered the danger zone still and several opted out as the years went by. Then things got to a point where people were getting into trouble at work for looking at someone too long or smiling, which made meeting at work for a long-term or even a short-term relationship a no-go. Yes, I'm sure people still do it, but it's not a thing anymore that produces a great many long-lasting relationships. Remember, many decades ago, meeting at work was not only common, it was encouraged. Now it's seen as dangerous. How did it get that way? Well, it appears that possibly, narcissists noticed a way to get narcissistic supply at work. Because they noticed that someone that either for real had a real reason to sue a company, or someone else made up a story. And again, I want to say, yes, I believe there were people that rightfully sued such companies for treatment that wasn't good at all. However, once that information is made public, narcissists will likely see it as a way of getting supply and free money. Because narcissists love situations that are your word against theirs. That's the narcissist's wheelhouse. They thrive in that environment where little evidence is needed. And it's just their sheer ability of acting that gets them the end result they are looking for. And when they noticed accusing someone or someone's at a company of certain things was something they could do to get narcissistic supply, I believe it's a high possibility narcissists jumped on this opportunity to do so. Again, this is in no way taking away from those that have had real problems and real reasons to go after a particular company. And I'm going to guess Even they would likely admit there's nothing wrong with finding someone special at work. That what happened to them shouldn't stop people from finding someone decent they work with. But with that being said, work became a place where people met and got married by and large. To a place where many have become afraid to smile at someone else. Because they don't want someone lying on them and going after them when they have done nothing wrong. Now to circle back around to the catfish thing in relationship to what I just said about people being afraid to smile at work. For fear someone might accuse them of something they didn't do. You see, this catfish thing has gotten to be such a big thing. It's a normal term in our society today. So much so. There are television shows dedicated to this topic. And one thing that we know these catfish people do is they lie. They lie and lie. Now here's the truth of the matter. Everyone has sinned and everyone has lied in their life. That's just the facts. But these people most of the time do so in order to drag people that have care in their heart into deep murky waters. In order to use and mistreat them. Now. Again. I'm just a little cartoon man asking some questions here. Do you think that such an individual that would catfish someone online in order to upend their target's entire life? Do you think this same catfish person would on purpose lie at work stating someone looked at them too long or smiled at them in a way that made them feel uncomfortable? Seriously. Isn't that a possibility? Again. I'm just a little cartoon guy asking questions here. You see. It seems like in most normal one-on-one areas of life where people used to meet, narcissists have likely figured out a way to ruin such spaces in their quest for control and narcissistic supply. And then we have online dating. And why do we have online dating? And it's a big thing now. Because most of the normal and what was deemed as healthy ways of dating and ways to find a significant other, they have now been somewhat or even to a large degree, depending on who you are talking to, seen as dangerous places to meet others. And now you have people meeting online, which is the perfect place for narcissists to meet their targets. I've heard Sam Vaknin, the self-admitted narcissist, talk about before, that basically most people you will meet on such platforms are likely to be a narcissist. Because they know that if you are on there, you are lonely, in need of love, and you don't have a support system. And a narcissist can be anything they want, and they can mirror you just by asking you a few questions here and there and finding out what you like and don't like. But what has happened is over time, our society has gone to a small amount of people met online. Some being catfished and some with some success. To majority of society meeting online. With being catfished as an accepted normal. But it doesn't appear anyone is asking, how did we get here? And no one is looking at the role narcissist might have had in this change process in our society. Look. Online dating could be there all it wants to be. But if it was still deemed healthy, normal, and safe to meet a significant other at work, online dating would be struggling right now. But nearly every area where people used to meet has been somehow made to be now a sketchy place to meet someone. And even a dangerous place to meet someone. Almost like people are being steered away from what is organic and normal, into something that is mechanical and beneficial for the narcissist. Think about the older people you know that have been married for decades. They oftentimes will say they grew up together. And they lived next door to each other when they were growing up. And then they started dating while in school. Or they met at the pizza place they both worked at, which was each other's first jobs. They had a chance to get to know each other over a great amount of time. Now, this isn't again to look back in time with rose-colored glasses, and to say narcissism didn't exist. Because it 100% did exist. However, you had a better chance to vet someone back then because you likely had a chance to know that someone that you married for years growing up or at work before you started to date and get married. And this is what the narcissist doesn't want. Remember, the narcissist only wants you to know surface level things. Though they can and do play the long con game as we know now. They don't want you to have the chance to get to know someone that you are going to have a relationship for years while you are growing up. Because if they are a narcissist or if they are what we call fast, you might see that and walk the other way. Folks, it greatly appears, and I stress the word appears. It appears that people are being steered away from healthy ways to meet and vet someone, to meeting people in a way where a narcissist can have the home court advantage to run their scams. And society as a whole suffers. Because nearly every time a narcissist sees a way to get over on someone or something they do. Look how fast online dating has become a pit of scams and lies. And the workplace has become a dangerous place to start a relationship when it was once a safe place to have a relationship. Think about how divorces were shunned and an abnormal happening in society to where it's more common and normal than staying together. And someone getting ripped off in such a divorce is now normal. We have normal everyday terms the average person uses in their normal day-to-day conversations talking about such people that have been ripped off. Yet, no one is looking at the narcissist or narcissists being the possible architects of this toxic system, and looking at the why in this. Narcissists love to feed on the misery of others and they literally love to lie. Where is you or you and you out there? Though you may have lied about something in your life, that lie might have haunted you for your entire life. The narcissist actually loves to lie. They thrive on fooling others. They love the bait and switch. They love to accuse innocent people of things they didn't do just to watch them suffer. And yet we don't really hear about this in society as a problem. Because if we did, it would need to be addressed. Think about it. If it were made public that we do have a good amount of people in our society that enjoy to target others, bait and switch them, and cause all kinds of pain in their lives, it would change the game literally. The first would be the family court and law system. If narcissistic personality disorder were to be recognized in this system, that some bring forth such cases might have such a problem. It would change the dynamics on how such cases would be handled. If it were admitted that some officials that might have such power and control over such cases might have such disorders as well, would even more so change the game. You see, the truth is, if a reform happened limiting the scope or power such institutions would have over someone's relationship, and in only dire situations would court be needed, you would see things change. Narcissists wouldn't be so interested to get married, because there would be nothing for them to gain. Or little for them to gain is a better way to say it. You see, in years past, narcissism wasn't a common term or name. Now it's something more and more people are learning about. How and why people lie to and cause pain to others. If you took this knowledge and you combined it with the change of things like family law, you would see narcissism start to shrink in our society. Because this knowledge could be applied not only in family law, but at work, and in other areas of life, to where people could have normal and more healthy interactions again. And online dating. As for online dating, I think it would start to drop off a bit. I don't think it would go anywhere. But people would gravitate back to what is organic and in person. Look, folks. As we've talked about before, narcissists want to keep you scared. They want you to walk on eggshells. And it's not just in your one-on-one relationships, but it's as a society. Little by little, your ability to build a life and a family is getting taken away. And if you want to build that family or life, you have to do so under new rules. New rules that somehow, some way seem to benefit narcissists when you look at it. And the question we should all be asking ourselves: is this on purpose? Are narcissists creating these life traps for us one by one? Directing you into a cage, metaphorically speaking, to where you don't have many options. And the main options are the ones that the narcissist control and the ones they benefit from. There are those out there that talk about online dating. There are those that talk about the family court system. And I think that's a good thing. But I think they are missing the connections and the overlaps. The overlaps that these things that have been happening for decades. Points to narcissism and toxic people writing the narrative on how you are supposed to have a relationship. And I think that should be the concern. I think if more professionals were able to speak and make change to such things regarding family law and the effect a narcissist spouse can have on the outcome of another's life, and how this needs to be heard and given some weight, the more we might see the toxic house of the narcissist crumble. But with that said, think about the new relationship rules and ways of being. Who wrote them and who do they benefit? Well, that's all I have for now. I do hope your day is blessed. And until next time, bye for now. And be good to yourself.